This is an introduction to myCourses, the learning management system Moodle that we use here at Blue Ridge Community College. With that said, whether you have a fully online course or a fully face-to-face course or even a hybrid where you have a little of each, you'll need to access this to get to your grades and certain information like a syllabus and that kind of thing. However, if you are taking a hybrid course or you're taking a fully online course, I will point out that while you can access it two ways, and I'll show both of those in this video, you can access it through your computer. If you are in a fully face-to-face environment where you're attending class here, then you may not need to have a computer to access that information. However, if you're taking a hybrid course or a distance ed course, we strongly recommend that while you can use your phone for some of these activities, it is not the ideal interface for Moodle or any learning management system. If your phone loses service during an exam, you may very well be disconnected from your points. Also, with the lack of a keyboard, mouse, or trackpad, there are certain functions that just don't work very well on a phone or an iPad for that matter. I'll also note that Chromebooks don't have all the functionality required to interact with the learning management system. And before we get going, right here on the website, if you are in need of accessibility features, is that little round button that looks like a person. Click that, you'll see those features. Anyway, we'll get started on Moodle right now. After you've set up your Blue Ridge Community College email account, you'll be able to log in to Moodle. Sometimes there's an hour or two that must pass before you're allowed to do that, but these two accounts are connected, and all of the information that the professor will put into your announcements and whatnot that are sent out to that email account. If you've got problems going on in your course, or people are trying to reach you, or you're having great successes and people are trying to reach you, I'll point out that you need to use that new email account the entire time you're enrolled in the school. So that said, after you do that, what you'll be able to do is this. You'll go to the web page, you'll go up here to where it says Students, you'll come down here, you'll click myCourses. That will bring you to this screen where you'll come up here and you'll just tap Login, and then you'll put in your username, not your entire email address, but just the username at the beginning of that email address, and the new password you've set up, and you'll put in Login. And that will land you in Moodle itself. This is the Learning Management Systems platform. Each of these represents a course, and if you click those, then you'll go in to see the details of that course and interact with that. On the right-hand side, you'll see there are things like deadlines, feedback that you've gotten, messages, and so on. I recommend that you familiarize yourself with this through the Student Online Learning Orientation course, which is available to all students, and some courses require that you have taken that in advance. And that will give you the details on this. Now we're going to take a look at the handheld or the pad interface with the mobile application for Moodle. Once again, we strongly recommend that you don't use that for serious coursework. It just doesn't accommodate that in terms of serious data entry or the interface. They're also just not as reliable. If any of them go off during, say, a quiz or something that you might have been taking on those, you are likely to lose the points, maybe lose the quiz in its entirety. So I'll go through the handheld device, even Collaborate, the Moodle specific streaming communication device will work on the handheld device if you're in a pinch. Anyways, thank you so much. And this will be just a very brief summary of the mobile application. Once again, you'll download that from Play Store or from the App Store on iPhones. And after you do, it will install itself, as these tend to do. And then when you open it up, you'll log in the exact same way. And then after that, there's just a few things that you need to know about it. The first icon at the bottom is Home. And once you have Home pressed, if Site Home doesn't show you anything, instead go to the top tab and choose Dashboard. From Dashboard, you can see your various classes, and then you'll see some other things that have happened, and this is organized by calendar. And then what you can do is tap the second tab at the base, and that is your calendar, and from there you can click into given days and where there's assignments. And then after that is the messaging interface. It functions the same as the messages on your computer. And then the fourth one over are notifications, where you have a notification about perhaps a test due. And then the fifth thing over basically are settings, where you'll see things like subscriptions, grades, files, the website itself, and preferences. And then if you did have a Collaborate session, I'll show you how that works real quickly. The first thing you'll do is you'll open the course wherein the Collaborate session exists, and that'll occur during a certain week or a certain chapter that you'll know in advance. So once you get to the course, you'll just sort of click into that. You'll see the Collaborate icon. You can click there. Now, when I did this, it didn't actually open within the Moodle app itself, but rather it opened another browser window, and that browser window allowed me to get into Collaborate. Likewise, if your instructor sends out a link for the Collaborate session, you just click that link and it would open up within a browser, and this is what that looks like. You'll simply join the session, and then you'll indicate that you can turn on your camera and your microphone, and then you'll be able to join. You can also mute those if that's requested, and that's all there is to the Collaborate section. And you can see that using your pad or your phone is possible. We strongly recommend that you find a computer to operate if you're doing long-form coursework. Thanks so much and have a good day.